All right then. Good morning, everyone. We're only a few people here in the physical space, but I can see a number of people online. Welcome to the Abuja Tableau User Group event. Today's theme is centered around using Tableau for everyday analytics. And I know our time is already it's running really quickly, and we're maybe 30 minutes behind schedule. So I'll keep it very straightforward. We'll have three speakers today, beginning with me, introducing you to how you can use Tableau for everyday analytics. What does that really look like? What does that mean? And Etido, who is also an ambassador, will talk to you about using or understanding what the order of operations looks like in Tableau. Soha, who will be joining us online from the UK, will also talk about the importance of humanizing data. And yeah, we'll have a break to catch up, do some competitions, and give away some swag and wrap up the event before 1 p.m. And I think we can do that. Those of you joining virtually, please send a message in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. I can see Jennifer, David, Damilola, and Bello, right? Can you guys hear me? This is loud and clear. Awesome. Okay. Cheers, Jennifer. So without further ado, let's catch up on how we can use Tableau for everyday analytics. My presentation goes through this list of items. What does everyday analytics mean? Let's explore Tableau's core features and the practical use cases. And of course, how you can take part in what we're doing here, the Tableau community, and extend its reach to everyone around you. I think this is actually disturbing, so I'm just going to. So what exactly is what exactly is everyday analytics? It's pretty much a practice of using data for, would I say, decision making on all aspects of daily operations. So it's not just for data guys, it's not just for HR guys, it's not just for executives. It's that you could be a marketer, you could be a customer service agent, you could be a sales professional. The ability to be able to extract data, useful insights to inform decision making is what we call data-driven decision making. And that is the core of what everyday analytics using Tableau is about. So you might be a small business owner, the owner of a workspace. You might use Tableau to track and visualize weekly sales. You might even use it to track and visualize traffic, right, that come into your workspace. It's essential to be able to track. I mean, what you don't measure, you can't manage, right? Peter Drucker. If you're an NGO, you might be able to use Tableau to visualize the impact of all the interventions you're working on, or you can track, the performance over the years. And how exactly is Tableau enabling, the analysis for everyday analytics skills? How exactly is Tableau enabling that? So it comes pre-built, right, with the ability to have interactive visualizations. As I mentioned before, it's not just for technical people, so it's very easy for non-technical people to pick up using Tableau. Actually, the way Tableau was built, right, you can think about it as the language of data visualization. It was actually built, right, the founders were researchers at the university, and they were thinking about how they can create a visualization tool that makes it easy for their work, but eventually it became something that everybody else started using. self-service analytics. It pretty much means that you don't need someone extremely technical to help you set up Tableau. You can go online, download Tableau public, get a simple data set, and within 10 seconds, you start visualizing data. It integrates with multiple data sources. There's so much effort going into the implementation of AI to help you augment your workflow. And Tableau is both Tableau and Tableau Public are available in the cloud. So that means you don't need your laptop physically to start using Tableau. You can be on Goodness's laptop or Etido's laptop. You can be in school or be at home. Anywhere there's internet service, right? Anywhere you have a screen that's connected to the internet, you can use Tableau. And I have to say that the experience of Tableau Cloud is actually quite exciting. So let's explore features, right, that allows you to perform everyday analytics. So first is the data source integration, the multiple data sources that you can connect to, from things like location like Google Sheets or Excel, right, to web platforms like Google Analytics, to database engines, right, like Google BigQuery or Amazon Redshift, or if you're someone who uses like CRM tools, right, Freshdesk, Salesforce, you can connect to multiple data sources. There are two modes of connection, right? Ways of retrieving data into Tableau. There's one that's called live and there's one that's called extra. Live just means real time. Right? So if you want something that, if the data source changes, you want your visual or dashboard to change, there's an option for that. And of course, there's an extract, which is more like taking a snapshot of your data. So if you have a lot of data and maybe you report on a weekly basis, you take a snapshot of every week, and it tends to speed up how you interact with your dashboard. Just to demonstrate, like, how you can connect multiple data sources, I will show you, right? Like really quickly, this is Tableau, right? I'm just gonna check that my people are still connected. Great. I'm just like, this is Tableau. Let's say we want to connect to data. You can see I have like tons of data sources I can connect to. If it's an Excel file, I can just go to Excel, connect to, something like this, right? Very simple. And going to be, I'm going to be shown all. Okay, so it's so easy to connect to multiple data sources, right? And this is just a sample showing, how it is to connect to Excel. If you want to connect to a database, it's a, similar process. You can go to, say, add a data source. For instance, I have Postgres database, right? So my system, I can go to connect to Postgres database. I connect to, the exact location of that database. I put in my username and password. For instance, I can put in my password here, and I'm going to see if I can connect to that, right? So this database can be on your system, it can be in the cloud, it can be anywhere. And this is Tableau making a connection to that database. So I've connected to this database in Postgres. I have so many tables in here. I can remove what I had there, normalize data, maybe look at a list of, I don't know, films, right? Something like that. And you can see the film list is right here. This is an example of how Tableau enables you to connect to multiple data sources. I will continue with presentation. Okay, Tableau allows you to create like dynamic dashboards. It means drag and drop. you're not limited to the number of visualizations you can create. Your visualizations are only limited to your creativity, how you can mix, match, your rows and columns and marks and all of that. In a different tool, you might be shown that, oh, you only have a pie chart or a bar chart or I don't know, a histogram or whatever. In Tableau, while those things are available for you, you can actually create numerous types of charts. It's responsive. You can have live data, for real-time updates. You can create web and mobile views of your data. And an example here is by one of the ambassador, Golaham, and I think I have the dashboard here just to show you, it's something that is, it's being. So this is anyway, okay. Something that is actually like very easy to, would I say, interact with. You have, like for instance, if you highlight a particular aspect, you can filter the chart, you can filter for public, you can go to a different screen in your dashboard, and it's yeah, it shows you how much you can achieve with Tableau. And this is just like one example. There are tons and tons of visuals that you can find in in the Tableau views gallery that I'm going to show you shortly. And I will move on to the next one, calculations and filters. So calculations allow you to extend, would I say, or extend the type of data and enrich your data sets, right? It's similar to creating Excel functions or Excel formulas, or if you use a different tool like I don't know, SQL, they just allow you to create calculations from simple math, like sum, average, or calculating profit margin, to more complex logic, right? I'm gonna just move ahead, right, on this because, what I just wanted to show you is maybe if you have a look at the, some of the work that's already been done here, you'll be able to see that there's tons and tons of calculations inside here that have been created. And then, example, if I right click on this and I edit, you can see this is a calculation right in here, counting the distinct values. And this just allows you to enrich your data sets in innumerable ways. The things you can do with it, it's again limited to your imagination. So let's move on. Then one exciting thing about Tableau is its map feature. It's so great. It's so easy to design maps in Tableau, right? So Tableau has so many spatial, would I say, functions that allow you to create location-based visualizations. And it can start with maybe having location names to having data on latitude and longitudes, right? And then you also have an additional capability called map layers. Map layers in Tableau enable users to enrich their data sets by adding multiple layers of data on the map, right? It helps you. Hi, goodness. It helps you, for instance, enrich your data sets by imagine having a base layer of population by location, and then atop that base layer, you can add things like locations of people. So I'm going to show you just a very, very simple example. Here's some of the work that we've done before. I hope this next one doesn't crumble. So let me go into, okay. So maps, for instance, like choropleth map, allows you to show the distribution of, a certain metric. For instance, you can show sales across different locations where the darker parts here are higher values of sales. You can also show it in a different view, right? Maybe split it into, like countries, right? Another view in which you can use maps in Tableau is maybe things like dot plot. So you can have a base layer, right? Like this. Let me show you what I mean. You can have a base layer like this, which shows you Daytona Beach in the United States. And then you decide to show, hey, the exact locations of where, people are or where shops are. And this is an example of a map layer. You have a base layer, then you can add more and more things. If I decide to show, hotspots or places where you can buy suya at Daytona Beach, I can highlight them with map layers. So Tableau is enriched with this capability. It's inbuilt and you don't have to go anywhere else or download any additional thing. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of my presentation on using Tableau for everyday analytics, from its ability to connect to multiple data sources, to its ability to enrich data, to designing dashboards that are very dynamic and easy to use, to understanding that you have layers and layers of spatial analytics, right, that you have access to within Tableau. And if you have some time, you can visit the Tableau Viz gallery to see how people have implemented Tableau for multiple different things, right? I'm talking some training business, but if you go a little bit down, I'm talking things for sports and fitness, things for nonprofits and foundations, business dashboards, data pride, time series analysis, news and events, education. You can use Tableau for so many things, right? It just populated already. And you can, spend time and get lost in all of these visuals. This is generally what I mean by, using Tableau or the power of Tableau for everyday analytics. And yeah, to cap it all, the Tableau community is just a place where people of like minds gather, they share knowledge, they help each other. There's over 2 million students and instructors so far enabled. And right now, I think this figure for the data visualization on Tableau Public has increased. Events like this is one way of being part of the community. So many ways you can take part. Designing visits, tagging them, connecting with ambassadors, and of course, like joining user group events, like I mentioned. And that's it from me. Data farm always, yeah. So thank you very much, guys. Etido? I have Etido's presentation here.
You should say. Thank you very much. Please allow me to start by being a bit more informal. My name is Etido. Please, can I meet you, sir? Olu. Olu. All right. And you, sir? Jibril. Yeah. Sebastian. I know Tobi. All right. So I'll be speaking very simply on something that if you are new to Tableau or you are approaching interviews, you should be aware about it. It's actually it's very simple, but one of the easy way to get knocked off from an interview: context filters. And if you're going to approach any remote interviews, then just be aware about it, because it's simple, easy to get over, but that's how simple it means to fail the interview. Now, first and foremost, if you want to search this out, there's a blog. I can share the blog with you. Well, if you Google order of operations in Tableau, you would see this blog. You will see this blog. The whole idea of order of operations means, if you remember what we used to do when we were in math, those early math years, it was called BODMAS. You know BODMAS? Bracket first of division, multiplication, addition. I thought you did not pass math. Okay, so order of operations is pretty much what you see there, is how will the system respond if you set different filters or commands all at the same time? Which one will the system obey first? Now, this is the order of operations of Tableau. It will first obey extract filters. Then it will obey data source filters. It will also go on to obey what? Context filters. Then dimension filters before it goes on to measures and table count filters. We're going to discuss all these type of filters and how it works. Now, the very first thing to note here is that filters, the first two filters are called workbook filters. Now, I'm going to use the example, the dashboard on Tobi's system. So this is, for example, this is a dashboard has already been made. And all of us agree that, you see, this one, this here is likely to be a worksheet. Agree? Here is likely to be another worksheet of its own. There are multiple worksheets in this level. Now, when you have a community of worksheets together as a dashboard or as a story, that's a workbook. Now, but when you go into an individual worksheet like this, this is an individual worksheet, and that's a worksheet. So the difference between a workbook and a worksheet, does that make sense? All right, cool. Now, having said that, the first two will affect the entire workbook, but the last four are only exclusive to the worksheet. I hope it makes sense. Okay. So what is extract filters? Let's start with extract filters. I'll open new Tableau experience, so just get something fresh. Yeah, so when a new worksheet starts like it is at the moment, the next thing to do is I want to connect to a data source. We have already shown us an example of how we could connect to. So the comment in the chat. Okay, let's see. Look for it. Good morning, sir. Welcome, Jennifer. Oh, welcome, Jennifer. Yeah. I hope we are still clear from our end. Yeah. Now, so please let us know if we're still clear and you can still hear us clearly. Okay. Now, from this end, if we want to connect to a data source, Tobi has shown us a bit about how to connect to a data source. Yeah, all right, cool. Thank you, Dami. So if we connect to a data source, whether it's a file or it's a server, yeah, we could connect to any of them. But for now, we're going to connect to an already saved Excel file. Yeah, just for the use right now. So here, so I'll take Superstore data. And when we get to Superstore data, by default, the system sets up the data for us, not a problem. Now, we can go in here, open the worksheet, and then let's look at category. Let's see how many categories we have. Okay, I didn't tell you guys I'm a very shy person, so you guys are not smiling. I'm worried already. I'm sorry. It's better now I can sit. So, category. Now, there are 3 categories on this data set. But you see, what if you don't want to have all of these data sets? Now, what is the reason first why you wouldn't want to have all the categories? Let's say you are pulling data from an organization that is spread globally across Asia, Africa, America, and all the likes. But what they want you to analyze is reserved to a particular region in the world. Does that make sense? Yeah. and you are connecting directly to their server, you should not pull all the data. The weight is too much for you. Does that make sense? You don't go pulling everything. You pull in just what you need. Now, for you to get just what you need, I will talk about that when you go to live. But because of you're doing that, it's still not a good idea for you to pull in live. You know why? The load also is too much. So basically what you do, you pull it in, then create an extract of the live. You know what is an extract? It's like a flash copy of, let me keep the copy to my side. Does that make sense? So you pull it in, then instead of live, you extract it, which is give me just the copy first. Now, so that I reduce the bandwidth and the time between, the sag time between when it keeps going. So when you set it on extract, the first thing you can do is, just so that I reduce how much I extract, I'm going to come to edit. Now, when I'm in edit, I'm going to come into what filter. Watch here. There's a lot of things that we can do, but let's stay with the one for order of magnitude. I'm going to come to filter. And in the filter, I'm going to add a filter. In this case, if we were working on what we mentioned, we would be going for region and just limiting it to just to Canada. Let's say we're looking at region. But for this case, I want us to play with category. Just since I'm going to tick only to technology and furniture, means excluded office supplies. Now, save this setting. Now, having saved the setting, I'm going to come in here to shift. Now it wants to save the extract. I'm going to let it save it. So that it has saved the extract now to keep that copy for us. Now I'm going to come in here, and you would notice that that is all we have in here. You see, the evil prior to this time, if you're not prior to this time, if you're not using extract filters, you may likely just come here and limit it. You could just come here and set the two you want. Yeah, if you do not use extract. But the problem is you've already pulled in too much already. So sometimes you wonder why your system is struggling. There's delay. A lot of your system, it's heavy. Again, if you are dealing with a small size data, you won't feel it. But when you are beginning to deal with volumes of data, then this becomes a big concern already. So you reduce what you're working on, and then I'm going to cancel this. So that way, we only pull data that has its category on it. Now, furniture and technology. Now, we'll go back to what we started out from. That's an extract filter. This will take effect first before any other one. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, let's say we don't want to go with the whole extract idea. We want to deal with our live data. Again, live data are not bad, but the challenge, like I said earlier, is depending on the volume. Yeah, so depending on the volume. But if you're real time with the organization, you are in that same office, everything is a small sized data set, doesn't matter, you can still stay live if you want. Okay, now at this point, what you could do is, see where I'm going to add the filter this time around. It's a bit different from what we added the first time. When we did extract, we did add edit. Now we're going to be adding it here at filters. Now here you add, and then search for category, morning, yeah. And then, so we go with office supplies, maybe that and technology. Does that make sense? And then, okay. So, what you now have is office supplies and technology. What it means again is that if there is an extra filter in place, then that will take effect first. Yeah, a live if there is a live flow, data source filter will take its first, second. But you see, if you see what has happened there, they are interchangeable. It means you can't have the two all at the same time. Does it make sense? So we've talked about, and all of these will affect the entire workflow. Everything you'll be doing will be affected by these two. Now, let's talk about worksheet filters. Now, we're going to remove, again, we'll just connect to support store data. And when we connect to support store data, what else should we do? Let's look at others. Bring in subcategory. So let's look at revenue by subcategory. So profit line, or let's just look at revenue sales, because I don't want a negative figure for today. Yeah. So I'm sorting it. It looks pretty simple, pretty easy to read. Yeah, this is easy, doesn't it? Yeah, straightforward. Now, let's say we want to check these out. So normally, if we want to filter, we might use something like, we want to filter by, should we filter by region or category? Anyone is fine. Let's say category. For now, I'll just say all, apply. I could as well say bring in region. For now, it's all. So I haven't really changed anything. Okay, so it's still what it is. Now, while this is okay, one thing that happens when we use filters the way they are is that they could shape the outcome here. We know how to use filters, I mean. Now, the good thing about filters is that this is a dimension. That's why it's blue. This is a dimension, and that's why it's blue. Now, these two dimensions, if we do this, let me take this out. When you have two dimensions in a filter, uses what you call the logical AND. You know what the logical AND is? SQL. Let me explain. So I'm going to remove category. Let me say edit. What I would have asked is how many years of Tableau experience do we have? Yeah, before I started. Please, we don't mind. Should I start with Yola? 0, okay. That's, you just started recently. Or 0, no background at all. No background at all. Okay, so that I can come down. Basic from my class. 1.5, okay. A year plus. Still a year plus, okay. Okay, so I'm going to make it very basic now so that I don't assume, because first I was trying to assume the class. So no assumptions again. Now I'm staying back. So first and foremost, yeah, those online, it's clear from this end, all right? No background at all below. All right, cool. Not a problem. I'm coming down to everyone now. Yeah. So I'm going to do it all over again now. Okay, first and foremost, let me just go back to the beginning. Okay, if I want to see category, subcategory, revenue by subcategory, does that make sense? That is the revenue. What I'm going to be looking for is how much sales were done. And you see, for those of you who are very fresh, look at this symbol here. It's like an ash symbol. It means it's a measure. Look at it here. It's somewhere at this corner. Can you find it? All right. So I'm going to drag that. That means a measure means a number. Age is a number. Money is a number. You know what I mean? Now, I want to check sales by subcategory. So this is a dimension. Now, if you see dimension ABC, you have any IT background at all? Anyone at all? Yeah. Which of them?
Excel.
Excel. Okay, cool. Then you know what we call what do you call it in Excel again? Strings. How do you call it in Excel? How do you call dimensions? Huh? How do you call dimensions in strings? I mean, strings, yeah. So strings and numbers, more or less. So you see the strings, you see ABC. So I'm just dragging that and playing here. Now, this is now showing in this manner. If I want to flip that, it's just Control W. Just to flip it different ways. Does that make sense? Pretty simple. I want it this way. And then the sort allows me sort. So I just sort. Now, I want to limit. Now, this is the global sales of all subcategories by global sales for all subcategories. And it's clear that what we sold the most as a company was what? Shares. Make sense? Okay. Now, if I want to go one step further to limit this, I don't want to see everything. I want to see pie per region. I want to exclusively see for each region. So I'm going to pull up region, drop it into filters like, yeah, what region should we work on? West. Okay, Jagaban's region. Okay, let's go. What do you say? Okay. Okay. So we go with the West. Now, before I go with the West, maybe we should even have taken note of what were the first four. So let's start with taking note of what was the first four. What are our first four here? Shares, phones, storage, and table. So we call it CPST, CPST. Now we're going to limit this to Tobi's brother's region. So CPST, all right, let's see. Now, if you notice, it's no longer a CPST again. Can you see that? It's CPTS. It means in the West, we sold more tables than storage because now we're narrowing into a particular region. Yeah? Now, let's also play with bringing in something else. So this is the filter. And then let's bring in another filter. Which other filter should we even bring in? Should we bring in location? Let's bring in region. So, no. Let's bring in, well, in region already. Let's bring category, which is a bigger group. So now, you see, we're going to stay with, look at the West. But we want to look at the West only for furniture. 10 minutes. How many more minutes? 10. All right, no problem. Don't worry, my work is easy. Once I just drop the background, the other side is fine. All right, so we're going to look at the West now, only for what? Furnitures. You see, only for the category of furnitures. Are we together? Cool. Now, one thing about filters is that filters they use what you call the logical and. Logical and means that it has to satisfy this condition and this condition. Smart, I can follow what I'm saying. You understand, Abby? Okay, cool. So it's called logical and. But there are cases where you don't want that logical and. You want a superiority of one of the conditions. Does that make sense? Like if I say, if Tobi and Olu, Abby, and Olu comes in here, share the meals. Does that make sense? We must wait until two of them come in. That's a problem. What if one doesn't ever come in? We're not eating today. It's unfair. Now, maybe the name Sebastian? Yeah, Sebastian. But if I say if Sebastian or Jubril enters, share the food. It means I've given you a free condition that anyone that enters, give us food. You see, so logical and holds us hostage. The two conditions must be true. Now, in this case, I want to create a superiority. I don't want this logical arm. I want one of them to take preeminence to the other. And that's when you talk about context filters, to create that precedence. Now, first, before I go and talk about context filters, I'm going to also drag sales here. Just 1 second. Now, oh, come on, don't do this. Just drag this in here. Okay. Now, before I go and talk about context filters, I want to show you, so these are dimensions. So they are called dimension filters. This is a dimension, it's called a dimension filter. This is a measure, green. Once it's green, it's a measure. So it's called a measure filter. Context filters only work on dimensions. They only work on dimensions. So if you come here, drop this down, you would see add to context. You can see it here, right here. Yeah. Now, if we come to this one and drop it off, you're going to see also add to what? Context. Now, but if you come to a measure like this and drop it off, this measure here is asking you to add it to context because I set it as a dimension. If I turn it back into a full continuous, a full measure, so this is the measure, I have to set number to a measure. Okay, now it's a measure. So I'm going to drop it off, and you would never find add to context on measures. So what I try to explain is that measures are not used for context filters. Now I'm going to go out of here for now and come back here. We've shown what a dimension filter is. We've shown what a measure filter is. We are still yet to show what a context filter is. Then we'll lastly show what table car filter is. So we've shown you what a dimension filter is and how they work. Now let's go back to this conversation. Now, here, I'm going to take off this for now. Now I'm going to return all of these, edit them, and make them all fully back like this. Now let's say that I want to be able to find out what the first three subcategories are, the ones we sold the most. So I'm going to go to subcategory, for example, here, and create what we call a set. You know set theory? Yes. Yeah, like when you say, even if you don't know set theory, you know the set you finish school from, the class you finish from, the grouping. So I'm going to say, create a grouping of people. So set, I'm going to use top. In this case, I'll be using, let's say top 3. Yeah, so give me the grouping of people that are in top 3. Yeah, by sum of sale. Yes, and I'm going to call it. Okay, so you could give it a nice name if you want. Top 3 set, and give it a name. Top 3 subcategory set, and then you say okay. Now, when you say okay, like you've done, I'm going to drag these. I'll drag this and drop it into the recording for this session will be given to all of us. So you can go over it again. So I've dragged these. Wow. I've dragged these. I've dragged it into the so it's like I touched them. Yeah. I dragged that. Okay, I'll be careful. I dragged that stuff and I put it on column. So it creates in and out of set. Yeah. So the top three are in the set. Everything that is not in the set will come out here. Are we together now? Yeah. So top three in the set, everything. And what's the top three there? Chairs, phones, and what? Don't forget I'm CPS. Now, if I come to category, and I want to filter my category, watch what I'm going to do. If I say, okay, I'm more interested on the top three that are furniture, and I apply. You see, that filter was not able to show me top three in furniture. It only limited the worksheet and only showed only chair is a top three there. Does it make sense? Makes sense, Abby? So normally you should tell me maybe the top three in furniture. But now only chair was found. If there was nothing in the top three in furniture, then it would have been with nothing. Hello? You got it? Okay. Now, the question is, I want to take you back to this point. Order operation. So extract context filter. You see, set is going to be stronger than, you see where set is? Set, you see what we did a set, we did see set. Set is stronger in operations than what? Dimension filter. So when a set, you know there's a set in that column place, in that color place. When a set is at work, a dimension filter is a small boy. Does it make sense? Same thing, if there is a conditional filter or top n, is we use top n to create the set. So all of that, once we have that at work, the type dimension filter becomes a yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Now, for us to turn this thing to give it a higher value so that it will now take preference over a set, we must convert this guy to this guy. That we must convert a dimension filter to a context filter. Hello? Yeah. Did I bore you? It's okay. Okay. So for us to give that preference, we're going to come to this place and say, add what context. You see, when we say add to context, the system, that particular context filter takes priority to this set. So the first three are colored for in, the last two are colored, the last one is colored for out. Let's look for a category that is broader. So let's look for office supplies. Now you notice that the first three now, which are all in office supplies, are colored, and then the other ones are grayed, which is the out color theme. Yeah. So context filters helped us to go ahead of set, or to institute a command that is stronger in order of operations than set. It makes sense? Cool. Okay. Having said that, you can now see these experiences. So if this is the experience you want, when you want to create an experience that enforces on other things, context filter is the game to go. But also watch that because it became a context filter, this icon, the pill, was changed to what? Gray. It's no longer a green pill or a gray pill. It's now, or a blue pill. It's now a what? A gray pill. This is the only time, if I'm not wrong, for those who have used for 1 year. I think this is the only time that we have a gray pill context filter. Am I right? I think so. I'm not sure, but I think that's the only time we ever have a gray pill. There are 4 kinds of pills. Who remembers?
Red, green, red is error.
Red is error, yeah. And gray. Yeah, there are 4 pills. Okay. For those that are users, be smiling as I was saying this thing because I know you guys should. I know you don't oftentimes recognize the red pill, but it's an error pill. Yeah. So that is context filters. I said my time is up, so I have to stop. I would have shown you a whole lot more that you could do with context filters. So I'm here. Oh, cool. So okay, let Soha come in first. If I need to conclude, I'll conclude after Soha. Hi, Soha, you're welcome. So let me pause. Right, I know she's joining us, so I can allow her to take over. All right, thank you.
Hi, Soha, are you there?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not bad. Hey, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know. Are you sharing your camera or?
Yeah, can you not?
Okay, 1 second, and then
Let me share my screen.
1 second. Let me just. I think you can now.
Mm.
Yeah. We're a couple people in the house here, hybrid and online, and you can start when you're ready.
Can you guys see my screen? Sorry.
Good, right? Okay.
You can just see the slides, right?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay.
It's a bit squarish as opposed to like widescreen format, but sure, we can.
Sorry, because I want to have my notes on the side. Is this better?
Yes, yeah, that's better.
Okay, perfect. Shall I start?
Please go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for having me. So I'm going to be talking about humanizing data. And for this talk, I want you guys to think about data being more than just a series of abstract numbers. I want you to remember that data holds the power to convey the stories of people's lives, and this can wield like significant influence when represented through data visualization, which is why you're going to see that I mention ethics and data visualization inseparable partners for the quest of the truth. And failing to acknowledge the human being behind the data risks creating an incomplete and misleading data visualization. So this is crucial consideration since it can perpetuate prejudice and it can also impact vulnerable communities more. So the key thing that we have to remember is that a lot of the time, data is numbers, but the people it represents aren't. Like when tragedy hits, a phrase that gets echoed by victims a lot is, "We're not just numbers." This is a phrase that gets echoed because people want to be remembered as not just another number, not just another stat, not just another casualty. This is a plea not to normalize their grief. So we need to remember that whilst data represents real life, it is a snapshot of the world. In the same way that a picture captures a small moment in time, numbers are always like placeholders for something else. It's a way to capture a point of view. So where does data visualization fit into all this? So data is becoming everything and everywhere. When we look at the recent pandemic, COVID-19 infection cases and death rates were being tracked and reported daily on a global basis. When you Googled during the pandemic times COVID rates, the first thing that you saw appear on a Google search was a graph. And we're currently seeing also in real time how data and journalism are going hand in hand. There's this symbiotic relationship between the both because they both tell the story, they educate people, and people use data as a way to make decisions. So this is the famous, I don't know if you're familiar of it, but it's a famous data visualization back in 2019. It went viral when it was first published in The Guardian by David McCandless. And what this does is that it takes a topic that everyone talks about, which is government spending. And a lot of the time when we hear numbers around government spending, they're these big numbers that we just don't understand, especially when these are like numbers in the millions and the billions. And it's for a lot of us who aren't millionaires and billionaires, it's difficult for us to comprehend what those numbers actually mean. Like, what's the actual damage? You saying you're spending X point billion on healthcare doesn't mean anything when I just have that small snapshot of the picture. So a lot of people argue like best practice in terms of visualization and what is deemed acceptable or not acceptable ways of visualization and visualizing information. And this viz was criticized a lot for it. But what matters most about a data visualization is, do people understand what you're showing them? Are they interested in it? And is it achieving the goal you've set out? Like for me, what I find so interesting when it comes to this visualization is that you can see, for example, this box in the yellow at the bottom, this is the impact of the financial crisis versus like when you look at in the purple square on the right hand side, the small ones, how much the estimated figure for the Iraq war would cost, and then in large is what it actually cost. And seeing those numbers in a tree map in this way, it gives you a much better idea of where the money is actually going. And we live in an information where there's a lot of information overload being constantly thrown at us with like stats and numbers and figures. And a lot of the time it's hard for us to make sense of it all and all of that information, especially like when it comes to a topic we care about or something that can impact us as people. And design, that's where design and like data visualization is so crucial and important, because it helps us visualize this information in a way that we can understand and empathize. That's where the storytelling element comes into play with this. Because when you think about your end users, and not you yourself as a data person, but the person who looks at your work, the data visualization that we design, it's often the first and only contact that people have with the data set. Therefore, like you as the designer, you've got tremendous power over what message people take away from your work. And this is where the ethical component comes into play. Like journalists, data visualization professionals have to collect data and information and then represent it to the public in the most truthful way possible. And then such similarities make code of ethics created for journalism very appropriate to be applied within the data visualization community as well. And this is where, like, I'm going to argue a bit something controversial, is that data visualization, it doesn't consist of like applying, best practice rules. It's a lot of the time you need to think about design based on making justifiable, ethical and functioning choices according to the goal of your visualization. So what it is are you trying to achieve from your data visualization when you're putting your work out there? What message do you want people to get from your work? This is where the big component of ethics comes into play. There's a theory called consequentialist ethics, and it says that you judge something or whether or not something's right by what its consequences are. So you need to think about the consequences of your data visualizations and the intentions behind why you're building it. The visualization process, it involves several complex steps, as we all know, and ethical procedures need to be practiced throughout so that the final result is as truthful as possible. And during this process, you need to confront yourself about any biases you have that may skew how you're perceiving the data and how you intend to visualize it. Also, you need to think about, where is this data coming from? Is it coming from a reliable source? Is it not from a reliable source? If it's not from a reliable source, should you be visualizing it? Should you be putting it out there in the public? Are you excluding things, including things? And then sometimes you need to take an uncomfortable look at why you're creating this visualization. Do you have unconscious bias that could be influencing your work, in your analysis, in the story you chose? This is especially true if you're working with data that is political, racial, or about any class of people that faces discrimination. We all have political biases. It exists within all of us. So this is where humanizing data is key. Part of thinking ethically is also taking into consideration how you're choosing to visualize the data and what graphs you're choosing. There was this psychologist, Paul Slovak. He found that numbers don't respond emotively to that humans don't respond emotively to numbers. Our brain, when we look at a number, we don't empathize with it. We suffer from a lack of human connection to the numbers we see. He called it compassion fade or psychic numbing. And this is useful in considering when you show a big number in your data viz, how effective do you think that's going to be in causing an empathetic reaction that you want? So when large numbers like this lack meaning, we're not able to comprehend what this number actually looks like in your brain. If you, for a second, close your eyes and envision this number, see if you can successfully see this number represented within your brain. Because Slovak found that we often fail to prevent mass tragedies such as genocide or take appropriate measures to reduce losses from natural disasters, because as numbers get bigger, like the one that I'm showing right now, we become more and more desensitized to it. Numbers don't trigger an emotion. Usually I ask people to guess what this number is based on, but it'll be hard to do it like this. So I'm just gonna tell you about this number. This is the number of Syrian civilians that have been killed since 2012. I don't know if you guys remember this picture. So this is a picture that went viral September 2015. It was a Syrian refugee washed up on the shores of Turkey. Remember, at this point, the war has been going on for 4 years already. And a study was done on the impact of this image versus the statistical number, like the number that I showed you in the previous slide. It found that due to this image alone, the number of average daily amount of donations to the Swedish Red Cross campaign for Syrian refugees was 55 times greater in the week after the photo than the week before. And then after 6 weeks, the amount still leveled down, but it was higher than the previous week before the pictures came out. And it shows you how visual imagery is how you get people to care and understand. So this is one of the first data visualizations that I saw that really changed for me, how I view things. And this is a data visualization that looks at how many Iraqis have died in the war. And you can see both graphs, like both the red one and the blue one, they show the exact same number. The graph types are similar. Everything's the same except for the title and the color and the bar graph being flipped around. And when you look at both in comparison, you can see how just by using a different color and just by flipping a graph, you can tell a completely different story. The first one, it's in red and it's flipped over. It kind of shows you how like every life counts and the impact's a lot more visceral. Whereas the blue one kind of makes it seem like it's a positive story. And it's okay because less people are dying. This is this visualization was by Simon Scar. So I recently updated this viz, but I created this viz back in October. I was visualizing the tragedy in Gaza. And a running thought in my brain was, how do I honor the people on this data set? How do I humanize these numbers? How do I get the audience to care and understand that this isn't normal? So I decided to visualize it in a disaggregated view with each dot being someone. And when you click on the viz on my Tableau public profile, you can hover over each dot and see the name of the person, how old they were, who they were. It's to remind people that these are real people that are being killed, someone who loved and was loved, someone who had dreams. I used the poppy image because this is also the national flower for Palestinians. And then afterwards, I did a viz with Al Jazeera where we were looking at the number of casualties against healthcare facilities. And a lot of the conversation was again around how do we show this properly, that what is happening isn't normal and it is a tragedy and it is a genocide. So a lot of the time, a lot of the conversations after you gather the data set is very much focused on how to show this in an impactful way to get people to understand what's happening. But we need to remember data. Visual imagery is important and how you visualize is important, but your ethical application doesn't stop there. We as human beings are biased, especially as data analysis. We view like data as the arbiter of truth, and we believe that numbers don't lie, but we forget that the data collection process and the analysis can be influenced by human biases, and they only tell one small part of a much larger story. So this is where, like, this is your golden rule. The golden rule for design falls back to ethics. Don't create data visualizations that mislead people. We've all seen those charts in the news a lot of the times where they mislead the truth by playing around with the axes to create a bigger difference than there actually is. So Alberto Cairo, he wrote a book about charts lie, definitely recommend. So here we've got the US presidential election, and this can be a very divisive and controversial topic. And the most common way that elections maps are drawn is by coloring each county by which party won. Red for Republicans, blue for Democrats. So you can see here. But the raw data can tell a different story, but that's impossible to tell from the map without using outside knowledge. Another issue with the map is that it views things as black and white and ignores the fact that some people in blue counties voted red and vice versa. So like in this graph, we need to remember like land doesn't vote, people do. So there was a data science called Kareem Duib, and he figured out a more accurate way to represent how people voted is to use colored dots, varied in size, proportional to the population of each county. And by being aware of your own biases and learning to see what charts and graphs don't necessarily show, this skill is the foundation for helping you become like a skilled and ethical creator of data visualization. So we can also find that like data visualization suggest misleading patterns, or pander to pre-existing prejudice. So you need to like actively seek out alternative explanations for what you're seeing in the chart. Like look for counterfactuals, like be critical. Don't take everything you read at face value. It's important for your end users, like who's going to look at your data visualization, to understand the method that you used to arrive at the conclusion, because they're reading your work. And it's often helpful to provide additional, more detailed look at your process and reasoning. And a lot of the time, people are often like savvy enough to consider our work critically. They don't have to come from a Davis background to understand what it is that you're trying to show. And those that could have reservations about your finding, they'll have more faith in your analysis if you're very transparent and clear about how this data was sourced. How did you crunch the numbers? This is all useful information, and they'll trust your work a lot more. So this is a real example in the news on CNN, and it's about the vote of like whether Scotland should be independent. As you can see, like this adds up to 110%. I have no idea how they got to that total, but unfortunately we have a lot of examples like this in the news of how data visualization is used instead as a way to misinform people. The same way we're in an age of information, we're also in an age of disinformation. So this is why we need to be mindful that where our data comes from, and that our data comes from and is often about real people. And people visualize data to show information in a way that can be consumable. And this is why it can also act as a powerful, like persuasive force. And the data we collect and the reality we're seeking to communicate, sometimes they're not always in sync. And this means that a large part of the world can be made invisible when they're visualized. Like data only tells a story from one perspective. And a lot of the time we don't take into consideration the missing information when we're visualizing things. So let's say, for example, you're looking at educational performance of schools. You want to know what is a top school in your city, in your country, in your area. A lot of the time, that information is based on standardized test and university acceptance rate. But a lot of the time, the missing information, and this is where thinking ethically means taking into consideration contextual factors and what that data is missing, which is, in this example, it would be socioeconomic status. Is there special education inclusion? What's the quality of teachers? What's student mobility at? By not providing a comprehensive understanding of the educational landscape, that data viz can inadvertently perpetuate stigma or unfair judgment against students from school with lower performance rates. And a lot of the time we can find evidence where charts are portraying information that isn't accurate, and that can be due to like poor design, incorrect data, inappropriate amount of data, such as like concealing stuff, no clear communication of uncertainty within the data. And by that, I mean like nulls and missing data. And the steps you take in your analysis can vary greatly. Sometimes the data source is very simple and there isn't much analysis necessary. Other times the data has like multiple complex stories in it, and the analysis has to be done carefully. If you have to make some basic assumptions, and if these assumptions aren't obviously visible in the finished products, you need to make them known. You need to like, when you find the story of what it is that your data is showing and what you want to visualize, it's important to leave out assumptions. However, the concerns don't end once the data has been investigated and the analysis is decidedly fair and honest. So I did this viz with Fred Naja, and this was back in 2020 when the explosion happened in Lebanon. And here we're like, the focus of this data visualization was reconstructing an event and using the data and visuals to show how something happened. And a lot of the time, these stories always follow like a linear chronological narrative, and these can be confused with like question stories. But the distinguishing factor is that these stories focus on explaining a single event, and they're often a good method for uncovering information and or like correcting like misconceptions. So one of the things that we wanted to focus on here was to show how abnormal of an event this is, especially when the news loves to like normalize that these events are normal within that region when they're really not. Another example of a good data visualization is, which also follows how like best practice are not always the golden rule. So Ed Hawkins, I'm sure all of you are like familiar with this bar and you know straight away what this is showing. So he is the one that designed this, and he wanted to show like climate change for him. And the main point wasn't for the audience to understand the data in depth or analyze it. He wanted people to look at this and become curious. And this viz went viral. A lot of people created their own version of this. And we're seeing that anytime someone creates a viz looking at climate change, they use this color palette. But on the other hand, this viz breaks a lot of the best practice rules. There's no clear axes, there's no definitions, there isn't anything. I can't tell you which point is which year, but that wasn't why he did that. He didn't want to show it to be like, oh, these are the actual numbers, this is what's going on. Like I said, he just wanted people to look at this and be curious about what's happening in the world right now. This was my first viz that I built where I really considered the people behind the numbers. And I was looking at it and I ended up spending a lot of time thinking about how can I do this in a way to do this justice in telling people's stories. So each dot represents the journalist, who they are. And every single dot on this viz, they were killed on the job. So when you hover over it on this data viz, you can find out exactly who this person is, what their story is. And then by the size of the dot, you can see which country has the highest mortality rate for journalists. It's important to remember that there's different genres to data stories, and some stories are focused on explaining how things work. Other stories are more focused on exploring the data and giving a more interactive element to the reader so they can discover what they can or want to learn from the data set. So how does all of this get done? So like you need to think about what you want someone to gain from your work. And when creating a data visualization on social impact topics that are about people's experiences and lives, it's about personalization. So like you need to, it's not a one size fits all kind of rule. And you need to realize that life is complex and creating new points of views or uncovering something new can't happen just by looking at a spreadsheet of numbers. You need to do your research. If there's a topic you feel very passionate about, do your research outside of just that spreadsheet of data that you're looking at. Read more about the topic, understand it more, maybe talk to someone who is an expert in that topic, just so you can do the topic justice. So it's really important to be mindful about what you're choosing to viz. Get feedback from other people around your questions, question your data, debate. So you need to really like think about what you're doing, be transparent, test your viz in front of a mini audience, reflect on the impact it could have if someone, especially if it could be a topic that people in your life could be impacted by. At the end of the day, like we do have a collective responsibility for creating a better informational environment. And in today's society, we're talking past each other. We're throwing numbers and stats at each other. We need to recover the art of having meaningful conversations with thoughtful, well-designed charts that can help us have more meaningful conversations. Don't shut down people who challenge your work. And remember, data is imperfect. We need to stop thinking about data being perfect. It's not. Data is primarily human-made. And data-driven doesn't mean unmistakably true, and it never did. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much for that, Soha.
Thank
Questions,
you.
guys? Those online, here. Everything was good.
So I don't know if you can hear us.
I can't hear them.
It would be good to know, so how do you get inspirations for your business? Yeah. Would you want to talk us through how you build your inspirations and yeah?
So I look at a lot of what other people are doing. So don't just look at just the Tableau community. I'd say like broaden out. There's a lot of people who do, for example, there's a data visualization. She works at the Guardian called Mona Chalby. So she illustrates her data visualizations with like pencil and paper. And it's a very take on what we do in like traditional data visualization. So I would say I get inspired by looking at how people are approaching things in a different way and doing things differently. And when I see a piece of work that I really, really like, or I'm very drawn to, or I feel like the design is done so well, I question why I like it. Like, is it the layout? Is it the color? Is it the structure? What about it like clicks for me or works so well? We've also got data visualization designers like Georgia Lupi, who's doing a lot of really different cool stuff out there as well. You've got a lot of people talking about the topic as well, like Alberto Cairo. I would also say like Pinterest, surprisingly enough, is actually a good source of inspiration, especially when you want to see people's work outside of the Tableau community, because obviously it's really easy to see people's work in the Tableau community within, the public gallery, and then everyone being on X and LinkedIn. You kind of end up being stuck in a small circle. So when I first wanted to try and see what else is out there, I just used Pinterest. And then from there, you can see what a lot of other people are doing and discover a lot of different forms of data visualizations and different ways of showing data and interpreting it.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Soha.
You're
Does
welcome.
anyone have any
hello? Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, David, go ahead.
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for this training. I've really learned a lot. But I have a question. She talked about using data visualization to tell the story. Now, in a situation whereby you are actually visualizing the experience or has no idea on charts and visualization, how will you use your data visualization to tell a story that it's easily understandable to even a layman and he gets insight from all of your visualization? Because it's a problem most times when you try to prepare charts and people just look at it and okay, it's graph, they know, but they can't tell so much. Are you going to be writing on each visualization what it means, what insight it portrays, and what it can help them do? I need to get clarifications.
So I would say that really depends on the data literacy of your audience. If you're designing something that's targeted towards someone who just wants the information given to them and they're not going to want to dig into it, then yeah, you're going to have to like break it down, like use a comment box, write it out. Maybe like also think about your layout, because a lot of the time you need to design things with the UI and the UX done in a way that encourages people to want to click on what it is that you're showing, like have interactivity, but they're not going to automatically know that there's interactivity. So have like call to actions where you're saying, okay, if you hover over this information, you'll see ABC, or if you click on this, it will filter this view so you can interact with the information in that way. Provide directions and guidance in how they can look at your data visualization, how they can interact with it. how they can like play around with it. Also, what it is that you're trying to tell. Always have subtitles. Always have like, if you need like a sentence or two to explain what you're showing, go ahead, add that in. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, it did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm looking at everyone's faces. Looks like this is something you want to ask. You good?
I'm just want to share our background, like educational background, like study data, questions, you know.
Oh, so someone wants to know, like, what's your background? Like, how did you go into data? Educational background or professional background?
Okay, I actually accidentally fell into this. I started off in psychology. I wanted to be a clinical psychologist. I did my degree in psychology, then my master's, and a big part, and then in my degree was analyzing behavior. So we did studies and find out, okay, like, is this behavior statistically significant in causing or having a relationship with that behavior? So that's how I first started getting into data. And then, you know, it's normal, you're young and you're like, I don't know if this career is for me, but I love the research element of it and the data element of it. So I didn't want to be a therapist anymore. And I just went more into that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right. I think we're good to move on to the next item. Thank you so much, Soha. This has been
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you for an exciting presentation as well. Etido, do you want to jump in and complete?
Yeah,
Whilst we have like some time to catch up on lunch and review what we can do in the last hour in terms of competition. Makeover Monday kind of thing. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much, Soha, once again. We really appreciate having you. Would you mind if for those of you who came in a bit late, would you mind if I recap what Soha said before I go into what I was trying to talk about? Okay, the first things is, I think first and foremost, I need to establish Soha's background is journalism. So she came from actually telling stories about visualizing stories for people who are disadvantaged, people who are like, for example, underrepresented people. So she does things around that sector. And then the first thing she said is that you need to research the data that you're going to talk about and then connect to the data, as in just so that you don't just look like you're just throwing out data there. Because people feel that sometimes when they throw out data, you're saying something. Yeah. And then she gave us a representation of 580,000, just a number right up there, where she asked the question, what's the feeling that this number evokes? We all tried to close our eyes to see if there was any feeling at all that the number evokes. To be very fair to you, I wasn't feeling anything with that number. Yeah, I felt nothing. Maybe I thought about money. Yeah, money. Yeah, that's the funny thing. Maybe I thought about money. I couldn't connect with the number. So she said, as an analyst, throwing out numbers doesn't actually bring no emotions to the table. So you need to be able to tell your story in a way that it can evoke people's emotions appropriately, not just throw out numbers to them. And that has to do with you internalizing the numbers yourself and then then she showed us a few charts that she had done. And there was even one very nice one, which she had a blue copy and a red copy. I really loved that stuff. It looks very similar, just a bit of flipping some things around, and the message was stronger. It looked like a drip of blood. Yeah. So you see how you represent what the communication could be strong. It's not could be, it's stronger than what you are really saying. Then she said something I loved again about, not with my notes, so I'm going to have to use the ones that have stayed on inside yet. She said something about informing and disinforming people. She said that while you think that number is to inform people, some people are using numbers to deform people. Yeah. And so you need to be very sure where you want to stand in terms of ethics. Am I using numbers to inform? Am I using numbers to deform? Yeah, we don't need to go far. We need to just stay in this country that we are, and you watch the way numbers can be used to tell a different story. The same numbers, 2 different stories. The same numbers, 7 different stories. It depends on who is handling the numbers. Does that make sense? The story depends on who is wielding the sword. Yeah, so you must wield it with skill, with craftsmanship, because you know the story you want to tell. Yeah, and then the appropriate visuals. Also, appropriate use of visuals, appropriate use of colors were some of the things she said we should also pay attention to. Yeah. So just trying to summarize a few of what entered, the other ones would be in my notes. Yeah. But again, I know that you may not have gotten everything from what Soha said. Maybe after today, when you could even be having a brushing or showering. Like I do that a whole lot. I just take a recording, go into the bathroom and play it while I'm, because at that point, my mind is very relaxed. It's ready to absorb. Yeah, just try to get a few more things out of it. Okay, before Soha came on, we're talking about context filters. Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly relieve a few things around context filters, and then I would stop. So for those of you who are online, I hope you're still with us. You are happy with us. If you don't mind, put a smile on your face. Wish we could send you your item 6. We had some nice things for you. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So we're just going to quickly round up a few stuff on context filters, just so that okay. What do you want? Okay. All right. So looking at what we did, you can see what context filters helped us do to set a context, yeah, by which this, irrespective of whatever happens, that context will be set first. Yeah. Now, again, I'm going to show you an experience now called LODs. I'm sure you've heard about, for those of you who have had a bit of experience, you may have heard what you call LOD. Now, I'm going to quickly do a simple example with LODs, and then you see how this could work. So let's do a pretty simple example. So what do we use? Let's use region. Yeah. Now, if you understand LODs is a very interesting topic. Now, let's do 2 things. Let's look at sales by region or profit by region. Let's start with profit. We'll do 2. So I'm going to take profit. Then I'm going to use this to explain. I'd use this to explain LODs for those of us who are still fresh. Yeah. So I'm going to make it a number so we can see it. So change it to a dimension, and then make it discrete. Yeah. I want to make it a discrete dimension, some continuous. Sorry, I'm doing rubbish. From it, then turn it to discrete. Yeah, okay, that's what I want to achieve. So our profit from regions, as you can see from the central, we have about 39 million. Yeah, let's say to the 39,308, 865, which is okay. Now, we're going to do something. This is a simple way of getting it. Now we're going to play with category. We're going to call in category. Yeah, so let's furniture. Are we there? Apply this. Okay. Now you see, when we use furniture as a filter, it filtered the profit for central right down to what?
West.
-2. Yeah? -2,802. It means that the dimension filter can influence this worksheet. Now, if you want to use a filter, but you want to use a number, and you don't want that number influenced by a filter. Does that make sense? I want to, okay, how much do you want to be paid? Fix it in your mind. Call it 500, 1 million, 2 million, 2 million. I don't want 2 million influenced by where I work. Does that make sense? You know, when you go to apply for a job, there is a place you will put your CV and you will know that's not a 2 million place. Aha, you know what I mean, Abi? Aha. So, but that's not what you want. You want to fix an amount in your head that irrespective of where I apply to, I get exactly the same experience. So when you want to fix a number that irrespective of the manipulations on filters, I will still get a good result. That's where we look for LODs. Now let's do a simple LOD. To write LOD, we're going to use a fixed LOD to fix something. So that's the one we're going to use now. And it's a very simple way to write this LOD that I wouldn't want us to write LOD. So I'm just going to look for the cheapest way to do it. Come on. Let's scroll in. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to hold profit. Yeah. Hold control down. If I hold control down, it's a shortcut, really. The shortcut. Hold control down, drag profit. Take it right up. Oh, come on. Region. Oh, sorry, man. So it's profit I want to take. What should I use? Let me try this. So I'll drag profit. I'm not getting what I want, friends. So hold control down, drag profit, and drop it on region here. Oh. It creates profit region. You can change the name if you want. It creates it. You see, how do I know it's created? You see, equal to, then the hashtag. Yeah, once you see an equal to there, it means it's not what we call in our parlance, follow come. It's not follow come. You created it, you calculated it. Yeah. So if you want to open it up, you can open it, edit it. I don't know why this system is a bit slow. Now, so you see, it is called the fixed LOD. So we fixed region to derive the profit by region. Are we together now? Now, so you can change the name if you want, but because I'm not trying to be perfect, I'm just trying to show this. I'll leave it the way it is. I'm going to drag this. drag this. Come on, come, move yourself. So I'm going to drag this. Yeah, here I'm going to set it to discrete just because I want it to come out as a number. You see, that number we had before, 39,865, that number we had, meaning that because it's a fixed LOD, this filter cannot play with it. You know what happened now? Now, if I take off, now I'm going to remove the filter so that you see what I'm saying. Region sum of profit, you see, is the same now. Yeah. One of them is, okay, if I just say everybody count the number of people in this room, we just count and we put the number here. See it here. How many are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Are we there? That's where we have sum of profit. 8. Now, if I now bring in a filter, let's say we bring a filter called male only, so category, we pull this in, and we say male only. You see, just by playing with that filter, only the male in this room will come out, which is in this case -2, -3. Are you following the conversation? However, this filter was not able to influence this one, because in this one, we did not say, no, we said fix this room. You see, there are a number of chairs here. Let's say it's 30. If you come to rent this room and you bring more than 30 guests, they will tell you no. Make sense? They will tell you it's a complete no. But that means it's fixed. So when you create what you call a fixed LOD, you create that kind of experience here. Now, because a fixed LOD, now watch what we are going back to. Order of operations. Don't forget this thing, order of operations. You see, LODs are here. It means that dimensions, see, fixed LODs are up there first. Look at them there. This is called, another type of LOD is called include and exclude. They are lower. So fixed LODs are here. See them at the other end here? For those of you online, they are here. Meaning that fixed LOD is higher than the set of operations what dimension filter. So because we have a fixed LOD, even when we introduce a dimension filter cannot drill it down. Hello. These other operations, trust me, irrespective of the work you're doing, you will need it. Sometimes you will play with that the worksheet and you will notice that the number is playing kalo. I hope Soha has gone because I'm speaking our language. The thing is, you need to know when to fix and when to release the fix. What's the order of operation at work here? So this is because the fix was introduced, that is higher by priority to the dimension filter. Now, if you want to influence a fixed LOD, you have to step up to a context. Hello. You have to move it to context. So if we bring this up here now, and then we change this from here and set up to context, the context will exert its weight on that analysis, and we have the result we are looking for. So you need to be aware on your worksheet what the order of operations are and where you need to make some tweaks here and there to achieve the results you want to achieve. Okay, more than anything that we've said, because some of these things you will only find them as you get trouble. Yeah, you will not just wake up and sleep and find them. But one of the things that Soha said in her class, in her session, was the fact that you need to review the work, whatever you are doing, painstakingly, either first in small groups before you go to big groups. When you do your analysis, sometimes it's good for you to have a second eye, because sometimes you feel the analysis you've done is correct, but a lot of things are passed under the water. Yeah. A great analysis is not a one-man show. Yeah. A great, not good, great. I don't mean a fine dashboard. If you are very artistic and you have a lot of good art skills, you can pull out a fine dashboard. If you even come from the graphic background, you can pull that up very fast. But a great analysis is not a one-man show. You get feedbacks, you understand. It's critical, in-depth, critical, and that's what you need in your stuff. Sometimes just sit with someone 30 minutes, help me think through what I'm showing, what I'm about to channel, and you will find out that it will be quite revealing to you that you've missed something. I did a similar work. I'll show you. If I show you the work, you might even like it because you feel God, the visual was cool. When I used to do a job for, what even inspired the work was when I was doing a job for a company. I'm sure you guys may have seen them online. It's called African Leadership University. You know them?
Yes.
Public. Bro, can I find public here? Yeah. Just 1 sec. I'm going to be done in 1 minute, sir.
You want to
Sorry, sorry, not action. No. I'm not looking for. Oh, come on, man. I don't want to see your feet. I'm looking for here. Let's use here to find it.
That's
Oh, come on, man. Where do I find Tableau Public faster? I was trying not to Google. I was just looking for a quick answer. Public. Okay. Sorry, I'm not a great speaker like that. I'm always all over the place. Looking for all, but it's faster if I'm on my laptop, though. It's always a lot faster. I know my laptop. But don't mind me, even on my best days, I'll still be looking for what is not lost. I wanted to show you something. Now, I want to show you that when you see this, your first thought is going to be very likely that this looks okay, this looks cool. But I'll surprise you, it was wrong. The numbers there were wrong. You may not even see it. You might still look at it at first view, it's okay, it looks okay. But the numbers there were, in short, I realized the numbers there were wrong after submitting the first report. Yes. Yeah, I submitted the first report, even went for presentation, they presented, they went. It was, I think it took me 2 weeks. Because the thing with the work I do is, again, this is not the school's data. Everything was messed up. I messed up everything just to publish it here. When I do a work for someone, particularly if I'm doing a corporate work, the first thing I do is I could just go for a long walk and I'm thinking about what I have done. Sometimes the more I think, the more I realize, oh boy, that thing no clear, that thing no get sense, that thing there's problem. I've missed something. Because company data sometimes is not as simple as Makeover Monday. It's not sometimes not as simple as Makeover Monday, simple and straightforward. By the time they give you, if you know you have been given. Like this one, we had to pull it from Salesforce. So a lot of junk, dirty. I wanted to show you numbers. Come on, man, allow me to do it. Look at this. Name baby, long time. Name Collins, Abby? Yeah, long time. Now, if you see these amounts, you would think that maybe the analysis is looking correct. It looks so clean, Abby. It looks okay, Abby. but a lot of things there is, all the numbers you're seeing here, the numbers here are okay, but the numbers here, this amount, this net tuition is all wrong. But you can even get scored high and say nice fees. Net tuition of 500,000. Yeah, again, no, don't follow these answers you're seeing here. It's not the school's answer. I've scattered it, but I still retained the wrong calculation on this one. The reason was that I had already published it before I thought about the answer. So it was on a deep shot. Let me tell you how I found the answer. It wasn't even me that found it. I was speaking with Kevin Flerage. We just had a quick over and chat. And then I was sharing with him the thought process. Then he just shone light. I was like, this is light. Oh. I going back step by step and realized that the numbers that were coming out, they were absolute error. Yeah. Imagine that the school went ahead to plan based on my false numbers. What I'm telling you is real life problem. And some of the things that will cause this kind of things is your fixed LODs, your order of operations. Yeah. On paper, if you even look at this thing, it will look correct too. The answer is close already to what I'm showing you. It's very close. But what I'm telling you that this is wrong. Maybe one day I would do an article on how the mistake, the error, and then the right thing. You would see that it was just simple order of operations that put me in that situation. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, sir.
So if you don't go back to the last presentation,
which of them? The chart?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that in most cases, a data analyst or whoever prepares the data usually is the person who does have final say on if that data should result or is accurate. And my thought is that, yeah, you think it's wrong, but I think you've done to the best of your ability what you could do with the primary data. It now takes someone who has insight on that industry, who has the experience and the background around that industry to know that the data is wrong. I'm just trying to say that probably if you didn't have a conversation with whoever that person is,
yeah, he's actually he's in the community, so he's very skilled. Yeah.
Yeah, not just the data,
yeah,
very skilled. Like probably has a background.
He doesn't do.
Well, I'm just thinking, right? When you have data, when you're very good, don't get insights
from
externally.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's easier to get that insight can help you if your data is too accurate, or if the data you're putting out is giving the right insight. Sometimes I think I see some data analysts write data and I'm like, this analysis they are presenting is what everybody sees at a glance. Like you don't need to present the community. And like what Soha said, that your ability to be exceptional is going to bring in risk. So if, for instance, you're presenting data to me, and maybe I run a school, and you're trying to tell me that my average is 500 and 1,000.
Yeah.
I literally that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm not trying to say like two things that the external insight sometimes help you tell the final answer, and then what you've done is what you have as a primary, like really what you had. Primary I don't think you say it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. I think you are correct.
No, the thing is, okay, you're right. I perfectly agree with you. You need someone to check your blind spot. But you see, sometimes when you are building some of these things in a bigger organization, like ALU is big, you're not going to be talking directly to the finance head. Yeah, you're going to be I was in the marketing team. I was analyzing for the marketing team. So for the marketing team, they just want to use this thing to make their plans for the next years. When they take your dashboard to that final meeting, is when they can now start uncovering, okay, where they come from? This thing does not align. Like, yeah. But until they get there, you are still leading your own team in error. Yeah. And again, again, I'm not saying anything wrong about it's on record. In most organizations, when you enter, you find out that data is not as straightforward as you thought it was. You know, when you see data in Excel or Kaggle data, they're clean, they're looking like magic. They look like everything is headed home. Yeah. But if you see that data with the institution itself, you always realize that there is a lot of, now, they've moved systems. This, like for the company I'm talking about, they have moved, different managers have managed, bringing their own style. So this one will bring their own style, they will tweak to that one. There was no perfect way of doing things. And don't forget, it's still a boarding organization. I think they are still like 4, 5 years or 7 years. So imagine like in that small spell of time, they've changed leadership like 4 or 5 times. Everybody with their own style. And for them, not as if they have, or they just feel, they just come with the groove. You know that you come with the groove. I know what to do. And then you, So by the time you see the data, for you to even pick one insight, you're picking it from different points, trying to merge it. So the logic in you removing who was who, at what point did this person move? This short, first and foremost, do they have a very good data engineer that drew an appropriate schema to tell you, okay, this table should be created, this table should manage. That's the first problem. So when you are now analyzing, you are collecting from different ends of uselessness and trying to make one sense of all of that, not the company, just general experiences. So I think it's in the last 5, 10 years that most organizations are becoming more, they are giving some very careful thoughts to the way they collect data. Before this time, some people were just, the data thing was still a boarding conversation. So the logic in how do you manage all this mess and then come up with an answer. So again, like you're saying, these answers were very close. You understand? But very close. It's not close. It's not close. Now, another thing is that the school, to the uniqueness of that school is that school, they have different tuition fee ways they pay. Some people are on a 5,000 grant. Some are on, don't worry about the grants. Some of them have, it's different. I just put all these numbers to tell my own story. So they have different graduated grant style on that school. So we could all be in class, but we're all not paying the same fees. Do you get it? So when you go to what you call net, the real insight there is the net tuition. How much is one person paying? At the end of the day, that's what we want to find out. How much is one person paying? Because he might pay 5. This guy is paying 2. This guy is not paying 1. So at the end of the day, we want to see what is the net tuition? Is the net tuition paying for our operations? Because forget about the grants we get. Grant is not for operations. Grant is for what they call, there's something they call it in the university system. They keep those grants for research, they keep it for other bigger things. So you want to be able to check at the end of the day, net, your fees to pay your operations, while that, there's a name for it. They have Harvard has a very big amount of that portfolio. There's a name they call it, where they just, and the endowment, I think endowment fund. That money, some schools go if you touch it, you're good for like 5 generations. So really, so that's where your grants should sit in your endowment. Your net tuition is your operational cost. Yeah. So, okay, any questions? Smart, smart. And I think the last thing to mention is, I know that we are all at different stages on our development, and but the TUG wants to support your growth. Yeah, there's no, we can emphasize that a million times over. The TUG wants to support your growth. So if you're part of the WhatsApp group and you find something that works for someone, share it, no matter how. The data community, find a way to enter. You would learn, you would grow. Yeah, there is no end to the growth. In short, you could, from data, you find out that your real interest is in the cloud. Yeah, but at least enter, find an entry point. Yeah, and that's why I'm like, build your skills. We're also I will take that upon myself to share every opportunity I see on the community. Go try to make an application. Yeah, there are a lot of remote stuffs, and some of them they don't pay very well. Can I even surprise you? The company that is supporting Roma Bank is not in Nigeria. Are you aware? Yeah. Yeah. It is sitting in Dubai. Yeah. The United Nations, the company that supports the United Nations is run by an Indian. Yes, this United Nations I see in Abuja, all their operations, yeah. Bill Clinton House is run by an Indian and they sit in America. It's called, it's from E. Her name is from E. Yeah. So most of them, so sometimes you see foreigners doing, look, African visits, Nigerian visits. They know a lot. They're working on your data. You are sitting down at home. So don't say, Nigeria does not support data. People are here doing Nigerian work. You know, MTN is supported. Who is supporting them? Small companies are, and even people that work for them are remote. So don't say there is no room. There is room. The issue is, are you going to deliberately try to grow that skill? There is room. There is room. And the room is only going to get bigger. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. We don't have so much time left, to be honest. I wanted us to do like a competition, but there are only 2 laptops in this room, so we actually have one more. You have a laptop too. Wow. Hey. Let me see, there's a comment in here. Okay, thank you, Jennifer. We can get started on small chops, right? Whilst I show you what we'll be looking at. Very briefly, we have like 30 minutes. Okay. Let me just take it down. So we're going to be looking at very simple data, to be honest. Oh, look, Tableau. No, but you could connect to this. Okay. Makeover Monday is a collection of data from different industries, right? And the challenge is to get you to revisualize how it's already been created, right? So there's data from so many types of industries. There's data from things as basic as, you know, changing preferences in love language, to economic data, to things on government data, or even energy and finance, climate data. So I think it's been going on for a couple of years now, since 2016 actually. And if you're ever stuck thinking, oh, I don't have data to work on, I don't know what to work on, I don't know how to improve my skills, Makeover Monday is a very, very fantastic place to start. And I just want us to take a look at a data set and see how we can just revisualize it, right? So you can take note, you can go into makeovermonday.co.uk, right? That's the link. What I just want to ask is, does anybody have any preference for an industry that we could look at? I know there are people from, you know, energy, there's finance, insurance, you know, project management. What would you guys like to look at? And we can call dibs very quickly. Finance. Anybody else going for finance? Media. So we have finance and media. That's 1-to-1. Anybody else going for finance? We just need one person to support one other person. Another finance. Okay, 2 media, 2 finance. Anybody else who's breaking that tie? 3 media, 2 finance. Going once? Okay, so I'm just doing a very crude search here, right? Jennifer, you came late. It's gone. Yeah. So we have which social media platforms are most common. That's data from, you know, August. We have media freedom. We have median age. No, that's not media. And then smartphone ownership among youth is on the rise. Looks interesting, right? Okay. So let's go. Let's have a look at, you know, what's going on here. And this is how you can interpret it. There's a link to the original article, and then there's a link to the data set that has been curated, right, for you to work on. I clicked on both. The original article, right, is from Morning Brew, right, an editor. And it shows this smartphone ownership among US tweens and teens, 2019 versus 2015. The interesting thing is, it would have been nice to see 2019 here in yellow or amber. Or is it both blue? But yeah, so you can see that there's been sort of like an increase in smartphone ownership, and the age at which, or the percentage of ownership has increased from both, you know, from people as young as 8 years old to those as old as 18 years old. So is there any way we can revisualize this, right? How would you look at this differently? If you have your laptop, jump into, oh no. Fortunately, it looks like we can't find that data unless it's somewhere else. Smartphone ownership. This is Makeover Monday 2019 week 49. Let me see if I can get that data elsewhere. No. Yeah, it looks like that. 1 second. Let me just try to Makeover Monday 2019 week 47. Yeah. Hmm. Maybe data.world is down or something. Let me see. No. No, I don't know. It's kind of looking like the website is down, maybe. Although it looks like the website is down, but let me see. Whatever reason. Is anybody able to connect to it? You can get that data. There's the one that shows link. So there are two links, right? So if you click on this, it will get to the data. This. If you click on this is the article. If you click on this, you'll get to the data. I think the data is available. Y'all should just check it out. 2019, probably my network. That is, it's still the same thing over there. Say what? I have a bit of a poor network here. Otherwise, we would have seen this. It's the same over there. It's loading the same way. Okay, so maybe it's data.world that is down. Etido, there is some other. Is it back to these bases? There's a website that has like educational data, green background. Do you remember what that's called? No, is it back to these bases? But we can do that, right? Oops, okay. I know. Make a one. Let's see. I hope it's not a IP thing, which is going to be so weird. Yeah, the alternative is to go into Tableau Public, look through the visuals that have been published using that data, and yeah, extract that data. But that's long, right? I think generally this guy is down. Data.world. So now I'm a bit of a pinch, right? Because this back to these basics is more, would I say, it's more like a challenge. Someone has already built this, right? Try to see if you can build a line chart. And okay, and it's going to data.world again.
It's also in a different browser. So
it was in a different browser.
Yeah.
On Safari. Oh, fantastic. Okay, please do that.
Okay, so please drop me.
This is the link. And say either an IP issue or something. So, by the way, we have some swag to give out. I think some people automatically would deserve swag, like, hey, first to show up, then, you know, we.
Oh, still not working on it, right?
No, this is so you have the data set.
Yeah.
Hey, okay. So you can drop it in the group.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Please do that. That is crazy. This is not Safari. This is what is it? Edge. Okay, then sorry? Yeah.
I think you tried to browse this now.
It's not. This is Chrome. You just dropped it. Let me just get it from. I'm trying to think about.
Maybe it's short.
Okay, yes, there is.
You drop the link to the WhatsApp group. Sure, I will.
Okay, just here.
Huh?
Is this sharing to the online?
Online girls.
No, I'm not sure it's the online. I don't have WhatsApp on desktop, so I'm trying to see how to get it connected.
Okay, you're sure you're sharing your screen?
No, I'm not. I'm not. How do you do it? You go to settings, right? Or you go to links devices or something. Link a device. You got the data? You got the data?
Some WhatsApp.
So what's up?
Sure.
Nobody is eating. Everybody's fine. Can we get a link to the WhatsApp group? Okay. Queen and Teen, I got the data. How can we get the link to the WhatsApp group? It's invite to group link, copy link, right? I got the data as well. I can do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the data. Let's have a look at how that data looks. And we have Tableau open. So have Excel. This is the first aspect that you should always like have a look at, the data exploration view, right? EDA. And it's a 3-column data. It just shows the year, the age, and the ownership. If people want to join, like form like 3 cohorts. So the best, you guys have just like 10 minutes. It's not a lot. You saw the visual, right?
Yeah.
So you shouldn't take long. We have a laptop there with Lillian. We have a laptop there with Sebastian. We have a laptop. Okay, so you want to take shots. You want to be, okay, since you don't want to be on the laptop, take shots, madam. Take shots. So we have 3 groups, group 1, group 2, and group 3. Yes. You don't have Tableau? After I sent it to you, you didn't download it. Yes, please. So that means you guys join me then. If anyone wants to join me, please. Let's roll. What? What?
You give Tobi the addict, but
You
only
think I don't? You guys want to join me? Aye, let's roll. Let's roll. Okay. So the speed. You're welcome. This is speed vising. Right. This is speed vising. We have this data. I'm going to close it. We have a Tableau public. Yeah. Let's just use what Etido has created. I'll connect the different. Yes. We're sure. Yeah, they can see what's going on. Go to Excel. I'll connect to the data like so. Press enter. Okay. This is the data set in smartphone ownership. We have 3 data sets. So this is in percentage. This is fine. And we can go to sheet 1. Or is it sheet 1? Oh, all of these sheets are already. And delete this. I think we need this here as well. Yeah, and delete sheet 1. Actually, just to stop me from. Let me close this data set. Yes. So smartphone ownership. As a point of reference, how do you think we should visualize it? It's just a very simple chart. A header, trend line. What is the biggest thing we want to show? Maybe
percentage increase. Which years have the largest percentage increase?
which years have the largest percentage increase? We could try. Yeah. So we could try. Which years have the biggest percentage increase? Have those 2 years. Do we need to put? Okay, so we have the year on this. If we put, we only have 2 years, 2019 and this. No, we want to put age, right? This is pretty much what they did, something similar to this. Why is it summing it? I want it as let's be as a dimension. It goes like this, 7, 8. And then the data looks like this. We can look at the view of the data again. Which year has biggest percentage increase? 2015 to 2019. So we can say for each, it's like for each age. Can I restructure this data? Because we have 8, we have this age for each year. And what Dume is trying to say is, so we just do like maybe 8, 0.11, 11%. 8 here as well, we do 19%, right? Minus that, right? And get the value. So maybe what we can, how do you write this calculation? Under pressure. Can we do
Yes,
okay, maybe what we can do is to create 2 separate charts, right? To say 2015 ownership and say sum of that is if year equals 2015, then sum the ownership, right? So that's just 2015 year, right? And then we do the same. Edit. This is 2019 ownership. I'll say sum if year is 2019, right? That will give me that. And then if I do something like this here, it will give me 2015. If I do something like this here as well, it will give me 2019, right? Similar, but that's not really what I want. what I want is to say, right, that then I can create this is where that LOD calculation is. It's like difference per year, something, right? Per age. Smartphone ownership. Let's just say difference per age, right? So we can do something like for each age, can you give me the sort of 2019 ownership? Nope. Can you give me this minus this? Okay. So then if I drop this, I can calculate difference per year. And showing it on a line chart is probably not the best. Probably okay to just show it maybe as a bar chart. And this guy, I just want to show it as label. I change this guy to formatted, change it to percentage, right? So we can see the, right? We can reduce this, make the width of this guy a bit bigger. Actually, this is showing as this. I don't like it. If I show it as it's great. So what if we show it as okay, if I show it as great, it's fine. I'll just reduce the size. Can make this the entire view. What's
Yeah,
so then the title will be
like percentage increase.
Yeah.
20%.
so is this correct? Age 12, 28% increase.
Yeah, so like
Yeah. Okay, so our dashboard is going to be very simple. Maybe you can even highlight the one with the highest here.
yeah,
Or what do you think?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the highest.
Highest, right? So how do we highlight the highest? We can say we have 4 minutes. You know what? Let's create the dashboard first. Just a simple dashboard. I will drop it on there. What's going to be the title of the dashboard? I will just drop the container. This is 1,000 by 800. I'll drop a vertical container like so. You know, I can drop a container shift and drop it to be floating. Starts it at the position of 0, 0. I want it to be 1,800 width. Is it 1,000 width and 800 height? 100. So that works. Then I can drop a text box as my title inside here and say
Percentage increase of ownership from 20.
smartphone ownership from 2015 to 2019. So we need to put teams.
Percentage is 14.
This title percentage increase in smartphone ownership among US teams.
Yeah, we can put this in there.
Okay. What do you say?
Smartphone slash of USB.
Queens and feet. Something like this.
Yes.
Okay. Tableau book should drop a 4 to add text title. If I double click this, we have the layout. I will push some outer padding 10, push some padding 12 to be 10. We can drop our chart from here. Sheet 2. This is our chart. Right? Aging years. We can Humanitarian at bottom. I remember how to do this. Yeah, the only way to do this is if I change this to continuous, then this will look like this. Then I can change it like this. Is it okay to leave the age at the top?
I think age at the bottom is better.
Age at the bottom is better, like so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this? That change? Yes, is that okay?
It's better.
It looks better?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It looks skinnier.
It looks skinnier. Okay.
It looks fine.
Yeah, okay. So let's show. Should we change? Should we show the height? You know what? Format, the screen line, cell, this guy. No. Okay. How do we make this?
And I was trying to tap on the top and just highlighted just it.
So you can't change like the column is specific column to highlight.
You can. It's just I'm trying to think about the, because this is age. You have to make it like, unless we do it like yeah, we do a trick, right? So do something like, what is the max age? Should we? Let's just do if age equals 12, then 1 else 0. Expect okay and okay. So if we strike this here now, then we can do that, and then we can change this to a. Let's change to a discrete. So we have just 2, and then we can change 2, whatever it is, to that. This guy to maybe Ekwere. Something like that. Thinking just because the table is really wide. I don't think showing these excesses 7 and 19. If you just start 7 and end at 18. Wait, there are people that are 8. Yeah, it should start from 8. This access custom. It starts as 8, ends at 18. How does that look? No, doesn't look good, right? What else?
Think about the outer boundaries. I think it was good. What do you think? The outside, the empty 7 and 18.
It doesn't look like
7 and 19, right?
Yeah.
It looks like data is empty, right? If we change this guy here, right, to discrete, then it looks like this.
can't do this size.
The width of the
bars. No, we can reduce that. It's the age over here. But we can always add it, right? We can always add something else, right? So if we hide this is why Tableau is so sweet, right? Because we can just drop this right and say age, right? Age of years, right? Guys, time up. Time up. Hello.
we don't want to do
Time up.
just 1 second. Meter is very much. Take 1 minute. Take 1 minute for that.
You came late for that, yes.
Is there like any reference and stuff? If it works in Excel, there's not like a function for it here. It's not a good or
We're not presenting. Yeah, if you have some knowledge of Excel, for sure, you can easily, or SQL, you can easily transfer, like the same. You have more functions, right?
Yeah.
For data visualization in Tableau, because that's strictly for data visualization. But Excel has generally way more functions because you can do more than data feeds with Excel.
Well, I saw one only you did there that you created 2 charts and then you use them in your function to write the formula.
Yes.
So when you create a chart, does it create like a separate data set, like, oh, this is like a separate data set, and then you can use them?
No.
How does that work?
From the same data set, you can create multiple different calculations. You're talking about what I did, right?
Yeah, what you did by creating
This guy.
those 2. Because I assume that, oh, like that was just like separate, like data set that you're creating and then you're subtracting them.
No. It's because of how the data is structured. So that's why, like, it's important to know like how that data is structured. I kind of try to split it to say separate 2015 from 2019. That's so you can see how he did it, right?
Yeah.
This is a calculation. This field here equals to, it just shows, oh, if it's 2015, just show only 2015.
Yeah.
If it's 2019, show only 2019.
And then the difference of that.
And then the difference of that, I can now extract the difference of that. Yeah.
That's very nice tool.
It's pretty neat. Are we, what's going on, guys? Estamos listos. We're ready. We're good. Adin, you're smiling. Something is cooking, eh? The super Power BI. Simple function. Well, Power BI has a different engine. We write DAX, things like that. And Tableau is more like you just focus on visuals, right? And you can build anything, literally anything. So anything you can build, Tableau. I'm not going to say like it's like Power BI. I think if you know Power BI, you can build visuals in Power BI. If you know Tableau, you can build visuals in Tableau, but the calculations are different. The way you write them, different the languages. Yeah.
Okay, let's see what it's doing.
It is right.
I don't know my team to you.
This is what we've done now.
Just minute. You can make a difference. Make it very more. It's really very simple. You
guys are coding. You're done. Oh yeah, now. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm sorry, which group are you in? You have the set of meaning actions. Yeah, reminds me of Nos Palma. Storytelling with data, you can see. Yeah. Etido.
Yes,
Sir?
I can give up.
That's really nice. So twins are under 12. So that's a beautiful one. Okay.
Who's that? No, the point of data generation is what? The story, right? Yeah. No. You don't know how the story. Friends. This. Well, it's coming from. I want to show you like, hey, why like, can easily. So maybe I go then, Sebastian can go, then you can go, right? Would you like to do yeah, we can go first. Let's go first. Okay, you want to? Okay, all right. Go for it. Go. It's the same story.
They are ashamed of me, don't worry. I'm not ashamed of myself. No, there is no master, we're just friends. Let's pretty much
Is that a dashboard or a worksheet?
it's just a worksheet. We didn't finish our story. But if you look, I don't know, for those who are in online may not see what we're doing. But if you look on our work, what we're trying to do is, you see the color, the deep blue, it's 2019. The light blue is 2015. And then the red is supposed to show the difference between the two. So you see the dark, it is a small red line that shows. So we didn't feel it, we should put that difference. What you did, then we would have shown it here. And then we have done what you've done and also done what Sebastian done. So it doesn't have yeah, we didn't finish the work. We're still working. So the difference should have been written on the red. Actually, let's show you what our inspiration was. Come down. So what inspired us, or what we were trying to recreate was something like this. So 2015, 2019, there you see that bar, the differences we have been captured. That's what we're headed to, but time failed us.
Olu, please, let's roll.
Okay. So for us, we went for the simple solution. Think of, you want to show your executive what is the largest percentage, which is what I think graph was trying to communicate. And in this way, you can do the largest distribution of increases from 11 to 14. And I think there is ways to show that. And then you can start digging into why the 12-year-olds want more. And yeah, that's essentially what we've done. Tobi can dig into how we actually created this because he just led through. But yeah, the insight is there.
Thank you very much. Well done. Fantastic. Sebastian, or Ajay wants to roll.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah. So for us, the first thing we're just trying to see, like, what's really the story? What story were they trying to say? And we have to research like what are twins and teens. And the first thing we discovered that twins are young people between 8 and the age of 12, and teens are from 13 to about 18, 19. So for us, that was a clear story.
Yeah.
And now then goes back to say their usage of phones. If there was more time, we had some ideas.
Yeah.
We do some categorizations and do the graph. But due to time constraints, we just did a simple presentation. So you see that the twins are the younger, we use the lighter color for the younger set of people. And you can see that between the year 2015 and 2019, we just showed how it has increased from one percentage to the other. And then for the twins, we use the darker color to present the increase from, like, for instance, for age 14, they increased from about 60% to 75%. We also, in my head, we would have done some interjections that at some point, some ages started having decline, right? If you look at the original graph, well, I think there's a lot of time constraint, but there's a lot we could have done with this data. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's a really beautiful everybody. So let's take a picture. Beautiful work, beautiful work. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, one. So let me count. Let me go in. Oh, it's not real. You're shooting it. All right, thanks so much. What about I think one more?
Oh, one, fine. Yeah, that sounds bad. I like that about what they're trying to explain it is, no. Didn't know about it.
Nice.
Thank you.
To be well. We gonna concrete your brain session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And we've come to the end, for the guys in line, of our Abuja Tableau user group. Cheers.
I